One of the most common questions we get asked is, which agency is better? Should I choose to get certified with PADI, SSI, NAUI, or whoever? Well, here's the thing. I've been an SSI instructor trainer, I've been a NAUI course director, and I've run a PADI 5-star dive center for 2 decades. And I can tell you this, it does not matter. There are about 8 to 12 different dive agencies handling recreational diving certifications. Almost all of them are part of an umbrella organization called the World Recreational Scuba Training Council. This umbrella body sets the standards for courses like open water, dive master, instructor, and then all the different agencies basically set their own individual standards to match these. Where they differ is in minor things like the way the course is structured, the way the skills are sequenced, the quality and polish of the educational material. But regardless of which agency you do, at the open water level, you learn the same set of skills. I've taught PADI courses, I've taught SSI courses, and I've taught NAUI courses. And over the course of 4 days, I do maybe 5 minutes that are different. And those 5 minutes are not something like super sort of substantial. It's minor things like like hand position, like sequencing of the skills, or what do you do first. Very, very small differences, which in the real world don't really matter so much. The other thing is that once you get certified with one agency, you don't have to dive with just a dive center from that agency. In other words, if you get a NAUI certification, you're not limited to diving just with NAUI. You can go dive with any dive center in the world. And that makes sense, right? Dive centers are in the business of taking people diving. As long as you come in and have a certification from a valid agency, they don't care what the agency is. By taking you diving is how they make money, and they're not going to say no. You can also start with one agency for one course and do a second agency for your next course and a third agency for a different course. For example, you can start with SSI as your first course, you can do NAUI as your second course, and you can do PADI as your third course, you can do SDI as a fourth course, and so on and so forth. Because all these agencies are part of the World Recreational Scuba Training Council, they recognize each other's certifications. That is not to say that there are no differences between the agencies. Once you get past the open water level, there are minor differences. And this is in terms of what are the options available to you. An agency like PADI, for example, has a very linear progression. You start with open water, then you do advanced, then you do rescue, and you can also add in some specialties after you reach a certain level. SSI, for example, takes a very sort of a la carte approach to diving. Their idea is once you're a certified diver, you can pick and choose whichever specialty you want to do. So you don't have to directly do an advanced course right away. Most people do an advanced course, for example, because they want to get to 30 meters. So SSI says, hey, if you want to go deep, why don't you just do a deep specialty right away? At the professional level, the differences do become more substantial, and that mainly has to do with the fact that your professional rating has to be with the same agency that the dive center you're trying to work with. In other words, if you want to work with an SSI dive center, you need to have an SSI professional rating. However, let me tell you one thing that does matter, which many people often tend to ignore, and that is the instructor. Diving courses are not commodities. Even though there might be many different centers offering the same open water course from the same agency, they will not be taught exactly the same way. We're not talking about buying alus at the market or something like that, right? Think about schools. You can have 2 or 3 different schools all offering the same curriculum, but the quality of education is going to be different. Dive centers work the same way. Yes, you're trying to learn the same set of skills, but the efficacy of the instructor in imparting those skills varies. The degree of commitment they have to making sure you learn varies. The degree of mastery that they try to make the students attain also varies. Some instructors will just be happy if you kind of just barely complete the skill once, done. Other instructors will spend more time making sure that you basically master the skill really well and are able to replicate it under all conditions. And it's very important that you make sure you get it right when it comes to the open water course. The open water course is the foundation of your diving skills. If this foundation is not good, you will not have fun when you go diving. So to sum up, it's not the choice of agency that matters as much. It is the choice of dive instructor. So make sure you spend the time finding the right instructor whose teaching style and approach matches your preference and requirements, and you'll be off to a great start in the sport.